I know it may seem hard to believe, but once upon a time, I was a real athlete. My specialty was long-distance running. Now, back then, we didn't have the fancy clothes or gear we have now. I ran in Converse sneakers, in a white t-shirt, jeans, and a jean jacket buttoned up against the cold, as I trained year-round. And I trained hard. I would leave my apartment, run up the street until I reached the service road, then out to the fourth line, several miles away, then all the way down the line to the Lakeshore Road, back to town, and back up my street and home, a distance of around 10 miles. I ran almost every night for an entire year, until I had to stop. Had to stop. This is why. It was a blustery night in mid-March, the air temperature just above freezing, so it was cold and damp. I had run down the stairs from our apartment a little after 7, but it was pitch dark, middle of the night dark, by the time I reached the poorly lit service road. I was pounding down the shoulder of the road, making good time. I had not reached the point of being racked with pain, gasping for oxygen, slowing down, but still moving, all the time, moving. And then, at a particularly isolated section of the service road, I heard the moaning noise and picked up my pace. I knew what the sound meant. They were out and flying on the night wind, the night floaters, the bobs, the heads, the faces, evil beings able to detach their heads from their bodies, the heads then being able to fly through the night, to spy upon and to attack their victims. And they knew me, and they detested me. I forced myself down the service road until I drew near the point where it intersected the fourth line. If an attack were to come, that would be the spot. Why? Because the old silo stood in an abandoned farmer's field just off the fourth line. It was the numero uno party spot in town, but it was also a known haunt of the malignant heads. At least the fourth line is better lit, I told myself. That should discourage them. There's houses, and there should be lots of traffic. Yeah, there should have been. 2 females attacked as I labored down the road. Labored as I was both winded and tired and still had miles to go. At least I think they were female. The floaters are so ugly, it's sometimes hard to tell. At that time, I'd been targeted more by females. I suppose I should have felt complimented. I didn't. The road was not as well lit as I hoped, and there were pools of Stygian darkness between each streetlight, which is where they went for me. The traffic had failed to materialize as well. In fact, there were no cars. Everything had gone quiet. I couldn't hear the wind or even the sound of my sneakers slapping on the cold, wet cement. Nothing. It was like nothing else existed, and there were only 3 beings in the entire world, the entire universe, myself and 2 murderous flying heads that were trying to kill or at least bite me. I was afraid to fend them off with my hands, afraid of being bitten and poisoned. In the end, I had no choice but to run down the middle of the road. It was taking a chance, but at least I could see the heads coming and take evasive action. But I was reaching the end of my tether. I had already run 5 or 6 miles, and constantly fighting the floaters compounded my exhaustion. I wanted to slow down. I wanted to walk. I wanted to stop, but I couldn't. They would be on me in an instant. Where were all the damn cars? Bright headlights approached from the south, and I experienced an immediate sense of relief, until the car drew closer, and I realized it wasn't staying in its own lane. It wasn't staying in its own lane, but was bearing down on me, bearing down on me, bearing down, aiming right at me, trying to hit me. I ran off the road and jumped down into the roadside ditch. The car, an old black 60s LTD, missed me by inches. The heads were on me in seconds, snapping at me and butting me, making me pull my jacket over my head for protection. I ran back onto the road, thinking the LTD might have been driven by some punks who wanted to scare me. Just some punks who wanted to scare me, not anyone in league with the floaters. An idea which held good until the old black Ford tried to run me over again. I moved back and forth between the edge of the road and the white line down the middle of the fourth line, dodging the LTD and the heads, and tottering on the brink of collapse. Then another black car almost clipped me, then pulled to the side of the road in front of me. A 73 AMC Gremlin. "What are you trying to do, asshole? Get yourself killed?" said a semi-familiar voice, which I recognized as belonging to Ray, a guy a few grades above me. I staggered up to the driver's side window, where I could see Ray's sneering face. "Can you give me a ride?" I blurted. "Get in," he laughed. And so I did. As we headed off down the fourth line, Ray asked me, "What the hell were you doing lurching all over the road? You stoned or something? I thought you were an athlete, like." "I was being chased by the night floaters." "That's bullshit." "Is it? Take a look in your mirror." I don't know what Ray could see in his side mirror, but I could see one of the leering skanks, red eyes blazing, dirty hair billowing out behind her, flying along beside us and keeping pace with us. Whatever he saw, Ray hit the accelerator, and we rocketed away from the pursuing harpies. I wanted Ray to drop me off at home, but he wanted to talk. The reality of the floaters was clearly a revelation to him, one he needed to come to terms with. "Can they do that stuff with their heads? Natural-like?" It's supernatural, Ray. You know what I mean. Are they born like that, or is it like witchcraft, you know?" I didn't know. I only knew they existed. As I said, I wanted to go home, but Ray headed north, into an isolated farm district. The heads were long gone. But we had another problem. A car was following us. Looking back, I could only see the headlights, but I was damn sure it was the black LTD. I told Ray, who accelerated, but so did the LTD, which switched on its high beams, blinding us. We bombed down the deserted country roads, going way too fast, but all the time the older, more powerful car was gaining, its headlights like two evil Cyclopean eyes, all seeing and following us wherever we went. Evil eyes, impossible to get away from, escape from. Ray rounded a curve, then swung into a dirt trail, leading into a cornfield, and shut off the ignition. The LTD barreled past, missing us in the shadows. Ray gave it 30 seconds, then cautiously backed out of the field. The coast was clear, and he drove off at speed in the other direction, running without lights. As we raced back to town, I told Ray, "Drop me off at home or at least somewhere on Kerr. They're not after you, they're after me. I don't want to drag you into this any more than you are now." "I'll take you home," Ray said. "This is starting to get personal." We seemed to have lost our pursuers, but when Ray pulled into the carport in front of my apartment building, the old black LTD was parked in front of the plaza across the street. "Get out of here, Ray. This is my problem, not yours," I said. He got, and I stood in the carport so they would see me and not take off after the gremlin. Then I went upstairs. At our apartment, they were waiting for me, looking in through the windows, smirking and licking their lips. I shut the drapes, but I could still hear them laughing. I decided to quit running for a while, or in future, to run with a buddy. After all, sometimes, two heads are better than one. If this is your first visit to my channel, my name is Warren, and I write and tell original ghost stories and original horror stories featuring cryptids such as the Night Floaters, werewolves, and black-eyed children. I hope you will consider subscribing. Till midnight. Cheers. Hey, I made it. I thought for a while there my voice was not going to do it. Maybe my voice didn't do it. I'll let you be the judge. You can let me know in the comments below. Till midnight.